Here is an overview of the 5 steps required to establish your property with the Genkan Owner Manager module. Step 1 is to get your login and password from Genkan, and once you've done that, you can log in and you would see this screen. There'll be another tutorial that will explain all the other functionality. The first thing you need to do is to go into your login and set up all the information that was required here, basically about yourself, your email address and such. At this particular stage, you can change your password. So once that has been done, there'll be another screen here where you need to put your bank details. We'll come to that later. So once that is done, the next stage, stage 2, is to go into the system and go tariff schemes. And you would create a tariff scheme and a tariff scheme is the calendar that would suit your particular property. So I'm going to call this, just call that. We would then, once we've created the scheme, what we're going to do now is to create the times of the year, the periods that you may want on your calendar. So I'm just going to create 3 very, very small peak season. And in peak season, I'm going to say we're only going to arrive Saturday to Saturday. We can ignore those rules 60 days from arrival. We have a minimum night stay in peak season of 7 nights, but we will ignore that within 30 days. This is going to be our peak season, so we're going to call this what we'd call that 100%. It's our peak season rate, and this is going to be based upon how many guests dependent upon the property. But we'll leave that vacant there. We're going to give the calendar a little bit of a color. Select the color, that's the way it'll show. I'll add another group. Let's call this shoulder. And in shoulder season, we can arrive on these nights of the week. We can ignore those rules 60 days out from there, so it'll allow all rules. We have a minimum night stay of 4 nights, but within 30 days we can go back to 30 days from there. We'll leave that, and let's say 90%. When we say 90%, it's 90% of the peak season rate, and this is just a guide. We're going to give it a color. There's a lot more functionality here than what we're showing, but this is really just to give you a little bit of an understanding of the basics. We're going to add another group. We're going to call this low season. And for low season, we can arrive every day of the week, so we don't need anything there. Minimum night stay is 2 nights. We don't go under that. The base price is 80% of the peak season, and we're going to give it a color. And in low season, if you stay, on Tuesdays, if your stay involves staying on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we can apply a discount of 15% per night. So we've set up our times of the year, our groups. What we're going to do now is to apply a calendar. So I'm just going to do this very simply. I'm going to put peak season over the whole year. And then I'm going to choose shoulder season. And I'm going to put a low season. In the middle of the low season, I want to put a peak season weekend, or maybe we could say this could be school holidays or whatever, so we can do something along those lines. But now I've set up my calendar. So that's stage 2 of setting up the owner manager module. The next part is to set up your property. And we do that by going to the property wizard, and we're going to do add new property. So we're going to call this and there's a multitude of information that you're going to need to complete here about the property. Everything that, and this is where you're linking the owner to the particular property, the address, the location, so you can write some text where that's going to be there. If you want to enter the square meterage of the property, the longitude and latitude, very, very important. Any areas that have been set up, the type of property that it is, the size of property, if there's a key that's associated, if there's a bond, and this is where you're going to put your property description and your byline. If the property's got has Wi-Fi password, you can free Wi-Fi. You can put the password in there, and you'll be able to use that in other later down the line in your setup. Okay. If you want a list, just go back one. If you want to connect to booking.com, that's where you would do it there. You would put your booking.com ID there. If you wanted to list the property on home away and stays, you would click those boxes. It's your own property. I would suspect that the payment options would be to all. We can discuss these later in more depth. You would here then put so the price that you're going to have set in the system is the quote capacity. So what that's all about, how many people that's covering. So if it's a 2-bedroom property, but the quote is only based upon 2 people, you would put 2 people there. You would put how many beds. So if it's a 2-bedroom, it might have 4 beds. How many of those are single? There are 2. There's 1 double bed, and that double bed is a king bed. We don't have additional capacity, and we could put here the additional guest charge. So you might be charging $50 for additional persons. If the property allowed for a multitude of different bedding configurations, you can select that there. You have your arrival and checkout times, any special instructions. You can select a terms and conditions, and here you're going to put what you would like to send in an email to the guest. You would put that there. If you wanted to send something by SMS to the guest, you would put that information there. And your online arrival instructions, which is what would be seen on the website, would go into here. But this is more of of a higher level of your setup. The number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the number of car spaces. If there's a sofa bed, fold away. If it has a pool, a spa, and whether you like pets or you allow pets or not. We would then go into tariffs, and this is where you would set your nightly rate for peak season. So we say it's $400, and we're going to now select our tariff period. So there's the rates, the basic rates from that we've set up. We can set up guest limits, maximum adults. You don't need to put anything in commission because that's not not for this. You can go into the shoulder season and say, look, really I want that to be 370. So what you can go now is to put a base rate of $1, and you can put that there and make that 375 or something along those lines. So you can go in and override it, and you can now see that it's overridden. The attributes allow you to enter features, facilities, activities, all of this sort of information about your property. We don't really use this location function anymore because it's all done by GPS. Maintenance allows you to put some location of information about your property. And this is where, if you're uploading to Stays, where you can put information that's going to be fed up into the system to Stays. That's the Stays activities. If we go to links, there is your link to connect to Airbnb. So you would put that in your Airbnb listing, and that will coordinate the two calendars. If you have a TripAdvisor set up, you can put a link again there for what your TripAdvisor is. You should put meta tags, so a title of your property and a description of your property, plus some meta tags if you've got a Facebook page. And that there, whilst we could go into greater depth, that's the main thing about setting up your property. So now, the final part of going live. So we go back to the property wizard, and we can see the property that we've created. And so this is a half completed, and now we can list that particular property. We can go into the holiday rentals listing and view the property. And here we can complete the setup, because what we need to do now is to load images into the system for displaying. So that's basically the last part. I can load an image just to show you. There you go, that will load that image. Okay, that there becomes your master image, and it's got a default. It is important that you get all of this correct. This will now allow the property to go forward through into the channels and display on a website, and I can actually show that now on our website. So there's a website called Where Do You Want to Go, and your property you can now check your property on this particular website. And if we went to accommodation rentals, I don't know whether, and there's the Cypress Lakes page there. We didn't put any description or such, but you can see the property display. So you're live, and that's the stage. That's all it takes to do it. Of course, you need a lot more information, and we can take that to the next stage in other videos and tutorials later on. Thank you.